Is happy to be here too. Okay. How was that Sabbath lunch for everybody? Delicious, right? What a blessing good church food can be. I'm gonna come down here. I like to be close. All right, let's just start with a quick word of prayer. I'm gonna do it a little different. I just want everybody to close their eyes. Let's just have it a moment of silence and transition. As you close your eyes, just let whatever cares you have, worries, extra thoughts that aren't in this room, work, what you gotta pay, do, just let it go. Close your eyes. Listen to your breath. Amen. I do that because God, I learned that God speaks in silence. So a lot of times if we talk and we can't hear, that's a lesson right there. Anyways, let me introduce myself. So I am Dr. Brown. My technical government social security name is Benjamin Joshua Peterson Brown the sixth. So as you can see, it's already a lot going on. So Benjamin Brown the sixth, that's like the name. I'm the sixth. That's the fifth right there. That's number five. My grandfather is number four. He's a pastor for a really long time. He was president of a different conference. He's in his 80s now. And so I'm his grandkid. So here I am. And I just want to give you guys a quick background on my story, let you know who's in front of you, who's sharing the room with you. And then I'll give you just an outline of like how we're going to do it. So I told you my name. I got a Roman numeral at the end of my name. That's VI. I don't know how often you might see a person with Roman numerals in their name, but it comes with responsibility, as we were talking the other day. So we have a lot of all of us have responsibility. It's just whether we answer the call. And so I was called to service out of like classical medicine. I'm a physician and a medical doctor, MD. And I went to medical school at Meharry Medical College. It's a Black school in Nashville. Graduated in 2020. And I was top of my class and matched out into a very good residency program for training in anesthesiology. So actually, in a few weeks, I would have been graduating from anesthesia residency, and I would have been going around to put people to sleep, wherever job I took. But I tell the joke, I'd rather be waking people up than putting them to sleep. So I go around waking people up now instead of putting them to sleep. So that's kind of the journey in 2020. God brought me out of classical medicine and out of America to the Dominican Republic. And the reason was that my mind and body was ruined kind of from medical school. Medicine is really the military. It's not what we think it is, even what I thought it was. Until you go through it, you don't really know. So I was brought to the Dominican Republic on a self-healing journey. And we already have the tools to heal ourselves naturally because we grew up with natural healing capabilities. So I wasn't like reinventing anything. I just went there and did what I saw Pastor Wright do and cure himself from cancer, which was eat raw foods and drink coconut water. And I feel like in all my responsibility is to make the complex really simple. And so it can be daunting when you like get around people with titles that there might throw some like complex information, but that's not what's about to happen. I'm just going to give you the most simple version of the information that God gave me, really, and that's how we're going to do it. So, just to tie up the story, I was in the Dominican Republic. I had an amazing life there. I was very well taken care of. You could tell the Spirit went before me and pretty much just mapped out my whole entire healing process. So what a blessing and what a privilege to be able to recover on an island. I don't think everybody gets that opportunity. So like in that, you realize you will learn who you really are. And if you're willing to acknowledge your privilege, like you could be of service to people. So that's kind of what happened in my healing journey. So throughout my time there, I learned Spanish. I learned how to professionally prepare food and meals. I learned the old way of cooking, the old way of service, the old way of food prep and juice prep, how to make coconut milk from hand, all type of stuff. And it slows down your life and you get to watch America and not be part of it, right? That's another privilege. How many, we're here and we are inundated with being Black in America, and we don't ever get to watch being Black in America because over there, everybody's Black. So the dynamic when you wake up in the morning is not like here at all, which is probably a big step to wellness. If you don't feel comfortable in your own surroundings, even in your own house, it's gonna be hard to figure out what to eat. We talk, and that message gets mixed up. Life is difficult here. We just have nice roads and we have institutions and things, but the life of it is difficult here. And that's the first step to acknowledging, like, we gotta say, where are we? Who are we? What are we doing? Are we working together, separate? Are we alone together? Whatever. And that's where I'll start. And my first category will be the category of time. That's what we'll start with wellness. What time is it? Do we know what time it is? I'm not talking about a clock. So what time is it? And everybody might not understand the prophecy, and you don't have to. The ones that do are supposed to share with the ones that may not. And the ones that know the prophecy know what time it is. That's the only way a child could be put in front of you, because that's what the scriptures say. When it's time, a child will come and he's going to feed you what you fed him. And this is just a repackaging of what I was taught as a child. There's nothing more. So this is just a review of what we already know. And when our message is getting sold to us by the public, that's when you know it's time. Our message of whatever you want to call it, health, wellness, how to eat, how to live, how to pray, this lifestyle thing that they're talking about, well, Adventism is actually a lifestyle culture as much as it is anything. That's what separates us. That's what makes us different, is our lifestyle. And lifestyle medicine is being sold back to us. And that's not the proper flow, right? So what do we do? First, we know what time it is, and it's time to be present. There's not a whole lot of work and change. I don't preach change. I don't preach the word no. I preach what we can do with what we have, and that's we can be present first, here, first, right? So that means being aware when you wake up in the morning. Realize there's things going on outside of me, and I need to just be aware of them. You don't have to change them, but just know where you stand in the grand scheme of your world, right? And if you know what time it is, then you know how to proceed, right? So that's the time. And I view myself as somewhat of an alarm because I stay disconnected from distractions. And so when I'm put into places, I know that the alarm is ringing because I can feel it. It's oozing out of me. I'm like, the alarms are going off and this needs to be done. People need to activate what they have inside of them. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about action outside of you, doing anything, going anywhere. We're talking about sitting and listening to what God has to say to you. That's how you start this whole thing. Okay, so that's the time. So I want to open it based on that information. Does anybody have any questions or you want any clarification, or you want to add anything? Anybody? No? Okay, beautiful. So first step, time. Second step, and this is when I'll get into more like the detail of wellness and health and wellness. So I titled this portion called Sugar and Water, right? Very simple, sugar and water. So now if you want to take notes, this would be the time to consider taking notes. Really simple things, concepts, not too much detail. Sugar and water, sugar and water. Why, Dr. Brown, why you name it sugar and water? Well, sugar and water are the basis to life. Your DNA has sugar in its backbone. Its fence. What holds your DNA together is sugar, right? And as we know, humans are made of 80-70% water. All right, so we got sugar and water, basis of life. So if they're the basis of life, they're also probably the basis of death. Okay. Light is just opposite of darkness. So anything that causes life, you could flip it and it could cause death, right? So America don't have to kill you with bombs, is where I'm getting to. They don't have to kill you with bombs because they know what's the basis of life. So they can just flip that and use sugar and water to kill you. And that's what's happening. And that's where we'll start. So all sugars and all waters are not created equal. We live in a branding society where they give you buzzwords to make you act and perform a certain task. So they want you to eat somewhere, they say this word. They want you to buy this to say this word, or they use these colors that you might not consciously realize, right? But there's many different sugars, many different waters. Let's start with water. Everybody's gonna likely say water. It's water. H2O. He got H2O in that bottle. Water. Could you hold that up for me? Yes, he could hold it up. Now, let's take note of the color. What color is that? Anybody? Clear. Okay. What about the thickness of it? Does it look really thick or thin? Thin. Okay. Has anybody ever seen blood? Okay. What color is that? Okay. Well, thickness or thinness? Thicker than water? Or that's funny. Blood's thicker than water. Okay. So right there, right, we have a mismatch of characters. We're putting in something clear to something that's red, or something thin to something that's thick. So that tells us we're not matching up. And that's where we get the dehydration from. Because here's the fact, that water is dehydrating. It does not hydrate you. This water has been purified. It has nothing connected to it. So it wants to be connected. It's like a human. Yeah, exactly. It got chlorine in it. That's a heavy metal. We don't want that in our bodies. And so the trick of America is that that's what's it's an illusion. That's packaged water. They put it in everywhere you could buy for 30 cents, and it's killing us, literally. And I haven't consistently had H2O since 2022. So that's the first thing. Why, Dr. Brown? Why does that water not help us? Why does it dehydrate us? Okay, let me see if I can make this really relatable. If you're a human and you have no connections to anybody, right? But you really want connections. We all want to be connected. And if I have no connections, I'm gonna have the availability for connections. I'm single. What? No ring. So I'm single. I could say, sir, I could be connected to you. I'll take some of you. I'll take some of you. And what happens is, if I pull them, I'm the water, right? This is the body. You guys are the body. You guys are important elements to the body. And I'm water with no connection. And I have magnetism, right? Because these things have magnetism. So I walk through, I'll take a little bit of you. You can come. Don't really come. But I take about 10 people. And what happens is, now I have 10 people on my side, not in the body. You peed me out. Now I'm in the toilet, flushed down the toilet, gone. And you know what I took? Important minerals and important metals out of your body that help things go that you don't even realize and we don't know the names to, but that water take it out of you. Okay? And what else it takes with you is salt. And what follows salt? More water. So when you drink that, it makes friends on the way and goes on about its business and takes the water and minerals out of you. Okay. That, if I stop there, that knowledge would take us further than a lot of lectures, right? So I just want to sit on that. That's not for us. This is a marketing scheme that was developed in the 90s as a way to dehydrate people so they will walk around like zombies and not be able to use their brain. And so these zombie movies aren't talking about people eating people. It's talking about the hydrated and the dehydrated, because we already talked about how blood is water, kind of. So when you see zombies, what are the zombies? How do the zombies know that a regular human is there? How do they find them? It's the water. They're thirsty. They want the water. So America paints it as this thing, but right now we have a zombie thing going on. There are hydrated people who understand, and there are dehydrated people. And when you talk to a dehydrated person, it's difficult to understand where their mind is even at, right? And so what do we do about it, Dr. Brown? What do we do about it? In general, you want to consume things that mirror your body and blood. All right, this is the next part of water. Our bodies are not made of H2O. Our bodies are made of a different type of water that's called H3O. You know, the name doesn't matter, but it's different. Okay, so when you consume that water, it's similar to your blood tissues. It's more like gel, right? And I'm getting to the eat your water. It's more like gel. So when you open a watermelon, there's no H2O in there, but it's called water. Okay, so what type of water is that? It's H3O, as we call it. All right. So when we consume that type of gelatinous water that's not liquid, what happens is it fuses right into our cells just like it should. It doesn't take anything, it just puts what's needed and doesn't put what's not needed. And so, what's the key term that changed my life? Eat your water. Eat your water. And when you think about it, that's probably what we were doing before colonization. We were probably eating our water, probably, because these bodies, you don't have to add much to these bodies. These bodies are self-contained. What goes in comes out, and they're water balanced throughout the day. So if you're not sweating a lot, you don't have to be putting a lot of liquid back in. You know, we're supposed to be eating our water. 80% of our meals should be based in water. And then when you do that, you're hydrated, and all of these things go to the wayside. Cancer can't live in a hydrated alkaline environment. Diabetes can't live if you are only consuming natural sugars. It can't. It's proven. And these things that we're suffering from, blood pressure, diabetes, these are engineered diseases. You didn't get that on accident. Black men aren't getting prostate cancer on accident. These things are targeted. I know because I studied the system of why I forget the medicine. Anybody could learn medicine, but can you understand the nature of the system? Like, why are all the black people sick? Why do all the black people have the same diseases? It doesn't make any sense unless it does make sense. And it does make sense if you know the intention of our system, right? Okay, so the first thing we could do is just be aware of what we got, what are our options, and how we could do it better. This is what we have. We got lots of different waters, we got options, and I'm going to tell you which option you can choose best. Coconut water. That's a simple water. It mirrors your blood most naturally to any substance. So you can get coconut water. However you can get it, I'm going to show everybody on Amazon where to get coconut water the easiest, because they don't have it in all the stores, right? So that's the easiest thing, coconut water. The second thing is natural fruit. You got apples, peaches, watermelons. Simple. Don't make it confusing. Apples, peaches, watermelon. Whatever you could get out of those, that's what you add, right? Just to start. All right. So we talked about the water. Anybody got questions on water? Yes. This water, alkaline and spring. Okay. So which, that's alkaline and spring. So spring water is naturally alkaline. Does everybody understand? It doesn't matter if you understand. Alkaline is a term that they're using to see what's more acidic and what's less acidic. Our bodies have a certain number of acidity, and we like to consume things in that range. So the branding is, if you drink alkaline water, your body will be alkaline. But the trick is your kidneys determine whether you become alkaline or not. So you can drink something alkaline, but it could cause your body to be acidic, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It could. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So spring water is naturally occurring. It does have some minerals, so you can't drink it. I wouldn't say every day, but it does have like cleansing properties. So if you want to do a fast, if you just sweat a whole lot and you need to replenish an amount of fluid, you could use spring water. Pedialyte, I stay away from anything that is packaged for children, because they put neurotoxins in that stuff, and it really disturbs the kid's nervous system. So I don't trust PD anything, to be honest. I think they put minerals and stuff in there, but babies can drink orange juice and coconut water, apple juice. Yes, ma'am. It all depends on what type. So if it's not refrigerated, it's not good for you. Typically, that's an easy rule. If you're buying it cold, I mean warm, it's probably not good for you. Um, so if you're able to find 100% cranberry juice, not cocktail, not from concentrate, then that's cool. It's usually in like the smaller bottles with the like green top on it. Those are good. And then, which was the other juice? The grape, same thing. Not Welch's. Yeah, I used to love Welch's, but it's bad for you. But if you can find some from not from concentrate, like natural, not from concentrate, that's good. And then juice, you could drink as much as you want. It raises your blood sugar, but it's not a harming effect like fake sugar, artificial sugar. Yes. Correct. The science behind it is because it's been pasteurized. You see pasteurized on there? That means they boil it to a certain temperature and kill the enzymes. And when they kill the enzymes, it'll sit there. Yeah, because the enzymes are what's helping your digestion. And that's why that juice is damaging. You get all the sugar and none of the other benefit. Yeah. Yeah. The citrus fruit in the morning is cleansing. Cleanse your bowels. So before we leave, I'll give everybody a sequence to go by, and that citrus in the morning cleans your bowels, and a healthy bowel is a healthy life. Yes. Ye- Mhm. 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 Hmm. Yeah, that juicer is really good. So ideally, yeah, if you were able to buy a juicer, ideally, and I'll give recipes before we leave, but that's ideal for everybody and as a person who's gotten multiple juicers and only actually used the most recent one, you really got to be in a certain mindset and have a certain time and ability to juice for yourself. And if you could do that, you're going to see your results go way up. For those who can't, coconut water and apples, and you can get that anywhere today. And start there. Yes, you gonna get the other mic? Okay, thanks. I was gonna run around like Ricky Lake. I'll do that. Here you go.
What about lemon juice and warm water in the morning?
That should be the first thing you drink. That's first on our sequence. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again for me.
Lemon juice and warm water.
Yes. So that's when we use the H2O. You wake up in the morning, do whatever you're gonna do. The first thing you should consume, lemon juice or lime juice and warm water. That's gonna hydrate your bowels and that's gonna move your bowels. Boom. Thank you. Yes. Much, no, absolutely not. Much less, much less. And it will be governed by your lifestyle and your body will tell you how much. So in general, since we're on coconut water, when you're drinking for hydration and not for pleasure, you're gonna sip. And these sips are smaller than we're used to. So when you're drinking coconut water in the morning, you have your routine. Boom, here's my starting dose. Gulp, 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 gulp. All right, cool. Wait for a couple minutes.
Brothers and sisters, we need to get the questions on the camera. You're not doing that.
Oh, the questions aren't on the camera. Okay. So we'll be sure to give everybody a mic. But you start with a dose, say a quarter of a cup. I don't do measurements because I like people to go by their feeling. So you might start with a half a cup of coconut water. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And for the next hour, you're probably taking sips every few minutes. And then that coconut, and you'll see, you can drink a half a liter of coconut water and you might not pee because the water's staying in you. When you drink the H2O, you gotta pee. So the water's not in you. Yep. Taking out the minerals, yep. Any other questions? Yes.
How do you reconcile, because I definitely track with what you're saying, if you haven't modified the rest of your diet, right? Or in the American diet, there's so much salt and everything in there, so we need to flush it out. So what are your thoughts around that?
So my thoughts are that I only change one thing at a time. One thing at a time. And I don't take away things. I don't like to take away things because your cravings will determine, they'll tell you. So how I reconcile that is our program called Cocozana. That's it's a specific coconut water and apple protocol that makes sure you can transition with no issues of dehydration. Cocozana, manzana means apple in Spanish.
Just going back to water in and of itself, cocoa and coconut water, cold as opposed to warm.
It's a personal preference. I drink my juice. I like it warm. Warm is ideal, but for the body. But you're gonna have to probably refrigerate it. Yeah. So it's fine. Either way. Yes.
So you said it was best to make your own coconut water. Are you going to show us how to make our own coconut water?
If I could make coconut water, yeah, I'll bring the tree with me. No, we were speaking of making our own juices. We can't make our own coconut water. I would have. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead. No, we wouldn't have access to enough coconuts to be able to make that a thing. If we were like in an island, or somewhere where coconuts were in abundance, but where they're not, even I just drink the box coconut water. Yes, sir.
How about the Thailand coconut that comes, it's already in the thing, they cut it down and you open it and drink it?
Yeah, that's what she's talking about. But we're talking about community hydration. So in community hydration, we're not dealing with too much luxury items. A Thai young coconut, that's a luxury item. Those $6 a piece. And so this this rehydration method is made for anybody to be able to rehydrate anywhere. It doesn't matter. So we would love to, but not yet.
One last thing for me from coconut. And so if we're purchasing it, will it say 100%?
Yeah, it should. It'll say 100%, and I'll give you my favorite brands. Because some of them have added sugar, some have added things that you might not want. But in general, I do want to say, when getting these new things in your head, it's best just to go with what's easy. You're already in the right direction. If it got sugar in it and 1% sugar in your coconut water, just buy it. It's better than the option, which is nothing. If you can't get an organic apple, just buy the apple, eat the apple. Yeah, we don't want that. We're just trying to make it, we're just trying to make it as simple as possible. So the simple thing, you heard something new, you don't even have to act on it. We're governed by our subconscious thoughts. So you don't remember how you got here. You didn't say, I'm gonna go here, make a right, then I'm gonna make a left, then I'm gonna go to the bathroom. You just came. Your subconscious is telling you, pick your foot up, open that door. It's the same thing. You don't have to do anything. You're here and you train your subconscious with the information. Now your choices will be governed by your thoughts. You'll say, I'm not gonna mess with that today just because of what I heard. And then what you think about will just come into your life. Well, you're just gonna start seeing coconut water. Like, oh, there's a coconut water right there and an apple. I'll get those, you know? And so part of our initiative installing here in Marion at Ephesus is a community rehydration. That's milk. Is a community rehydration program where we already have the boxes of water and fruit packaged for people, and we can, however we need to distribute them. So that's a future program that we have plans for. And that way, everybody in the church or community could say, I want a Coco's on a pack. I want one for a week or a month or however long. And then you don't have to think. You can just come pick it up, or it could be delivered, however.
Yeah, I had high blood pressure. Somebody told me to start drinking coconut water,
Yeah.
and it didn't lower it.
It didn't, or it did?
It did lower
It lowered. There's a testimony right there. Testimony for the cocoa water right there. Lowered his blood pressure just with coconut water. It's magical. More supporting evidence for why coconuts have so much power. Do you recall any other fruits or vegetables growing that high close to the sun? That's kind of why.
And this guy says he doesn't drink water, he drinks coconut water only.
It's been years for me. And all the people who function, who we learn from each other and I learn from on social media or wherever, they don't drink water anymore. But it's like he said, they've transitioned their entire lifestyle into supporting that. So you have to be cognizant of that too. However, when you start out, you just go for it. Like, all right, I'm gonna try to do coconut water whenever I can. That's good enough.
That's why they say in Jamaica that the coconut water goes straight to the heart.
Straight to the heart and don't come out. Yep. So that is part of the water. So I want everyone, as you're realizing, like, because when I first learned this, I was like, whoa, that's real crazy. It's really like mind-boggling, and that feeling is what you're gonna go through more and more and more as they say the veil is lifted. You're starting to see things now that we might have thought deep down, and now you're starting to see it, and you can't run from it, and it's in your face. So just like this is new news that seemed like, dang, how didn't I know that before? Well, there's going to be more things like that, and don't get thrown off by it. It's just, a re-entrance into the truth. That's all. This time is about the truth. Yeah. Oh, we have one over there.
So ideally, if you had an infant and from day one they were on, after they got off their mom's breast milk, if they drank coconut water, would we see a major difference in how they developed as children?
You would likely see, now I don't have any children that I gave coconut water to, but just judging off of the adults I have, you would see differences in their behaviors, in their irritableness. They would be less irritable. They would be less gassy. You know how babies have this like explosive diarrhea? That would go away. And their irritation would go away, which means they would be able to self-soothe better. So less outbursts and crying and not being able to get them back, likely, because the milk that they're getting in the formula is is damaging their nervous systems. So it's making them agitated naturally. And so if you could remove those toxic substances with something as powerful as coconut water, that would be my guess. People are kind of scared to give their babies natural food, though. It's kind of weird. When you can really just crush up an apple and feed it to them. It's applesauce. Yes. Oh, can we come over here? She had a question. Thank you.
What if a person is allergic to coconut?
So if a person allergic to coconut, they shouldn't be affected by the water. They should still be okay. The tree nut, the shaved down nut might be a problem, but the water won't be a problem. And I have tested that on a kid myself. Yes. I don't deal with powders, but if it's possible, you could, but then we're getting back to a processed thing. So we're trying to get away from processed. So a package of coconut, if you can do it, then I wouldn't suggest it myself, but it's better than nothing, for sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not the same. That's what she's saying. Yeah. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I grew up in the island of Jamaica, and we came from school. We never eat processed food, fruits, vegetables, sugar cane. And I mean, even today, how people live, they eat natural stuff. Even some of the things they have in Jamaica that you can use to get rid of diabetes. In South Africa, they have a thing called aloe vera. People can grow it. It grow by itself, and that thing will clean diabetes out your system because they cut it, and the crystal become like a black crystal, and you take that. That's very bitter. What it does, it cleanse. I had some vein on my body was popping out, and I used that, and that cleansed out my blood. Because what it does, it clean your system, make you go to the bathroom regularly. Aloe vera. Yeah, it grows, I think, 19 feet, and it goes deep in the earth to suck all the nutrient from the earth. And that is a very powerful thing. It's very bitter. It better you throw it in your throat than drink some water, but you gotta drink. You use water to cleanse your system, but I guess you can use the coconut water
Either way.
instead
Go ahead,
of.
you had one?
Aloe vera consumed.
Could you spell it for us? I think we might be talking about two different things.
Yeah, because there's a difference between aloe vera and what he's talking
What
about.
he's talking about, yeah. Yeah, he'll bring it up for us so we can see. But I want to continue the message with what he said about natural and unnatural food. So, for instance, anything in a package, if it comes in a package, it can't be natural. So you can, whenever you're imagining your eating habits, think about what came in a package and what didn't. You're better off buying something natural. Excuse me. You're better off buying something natural, even if it's not prepared the way you like, supposedly healthy. You're better off with that than something fake. Like the veggie meat now. Oh, I grew up eating grillers, of course. Those are not the same grillers we grew up eating, and they have damaging chemicals in them. So these days, you're better off eating, to be honest, organic meat than veggie meat, because the veggie meat has soy and gluten in it, and your bodies can't metabolize that, no matter how hard you try. But it can metabolize something natural, no matter what it is. And so that's where we are now. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. But these days, those fake meats and processed meats are killing people, and your bodies can't process the ingredients. So aside from, it used to be vegetarian and non-vegetarian, vegan and non-vegan, but now it's natural and unnatural. The vegan doesn't really matter because you could be vegan and eat nothing but unnatural food all day. You can be a complete unnatural vegan. There's enough vegan food that's fake. So that's another beacon of simplicity, natural versus unnatural. When you're making a choice, try to go natural versus unnatural, no matter where you are, how it's prepared. I think when I go and share with people, I like to think, what can we put in front of our mind that don't take no thinking, that is I don't want you to go change a lot, removing things. Just, oh, I didn't know that. Cool. Let me try to be more natural, and you'll see the results. To continue on that, gluten. Gluten has a key word in it named glue. So glue is sticky, it's viscous, it's not broken down easily. And when we eat gluten, that is what our bowels are trying to pull apart. It's damaging to our bowels. Our bowels are less a tube, right? And it's supposed to move through. When you eat glue, things stick. So that gluten is making things stick to your bowel, which has many poor benefits. The main being your mood is disturbed. I'm going down the trail. So we got gluten, we got bowel health, and we got mood, right? Those are all connected. Gluten, bowel health, and mood. Why is that? Well, that's because your hormones live in your bowel. That's where your hormones, serotonin, the happy hormone, the things that tell other hormones to be released, those are stored in your bowel and your small intestine. So, which means your emotions are directly influenced to what you eat in the moment, which means your actions are directly influenced to what you eat because your actions are tied to your mood. When you're in a good mood, you act a certain way, right? When you're in a bad mood, you act a certain way. You give off certain things, you give off certain energies. So that's directly tied to what you ate. Directly. Example number one, white potatoes. They change your mood. They do. They change your mood. So you got to be careful when you eat white potatoes and make sure that you're using other things with it to balance it out. When they say balanced meal, because it will change your mood. What'd she say? Oh, butter. Butter and sour cream. Yeah, it's gonna change your mood. Butter might do it for the better. No, I'm joking. But in 100%, your mood in that moment is tied to what you're eating because your hormones are in your small intestine. When that food go in there through your stomach to your small intestine, it's going to give a signal. We releasing this. We releasing this. We releasing this. And that's just it. That's going to influence your mood. Your mood influences your perception. The way you see things is dependent on your mood. So we really live in a hormonal life. Our life is only based on hormones. That's what governs how we see, if we could see, how we hear. Do you hear more or less? It's all a hormone, everything. So how do you control your hormones? With food and environment. That's how you control your hormones. You control that, you can control your actions. You can control your actions, you could be quiet. That's what I'm trying to get to. The silence. All it is so I could shut my mouth and tell God, I ain't got nothing left to say. I'm gonna tell you how it worked. I came home from the hospital in Philly one day. I was like working regular medicine, working in Philly, and I had enough. I had enough. I came home and I looked in the mirror, I said, Lord, you got it. I don't need nothing else. I don't want nothing else. What did I say? I said something like I had it my way. However, I submit the will. I had to say those words because I was tired. And when you keep making the wrong decision, you'll give it to the coach. Like, coach, what you think I should do? And I really did that, and I meant it too, because I don't need that burden of making decisions, every single decision. I don't need that. I could follow orders. That's easy. It's much easier to follow an order. Oh, nice. Oh, this is the big aloe. Okay, I'll show it to everybody. It's much easier to follow an order than to make a decision and then give myself the order and follow the order. That sounds absurd, and that's what I was doing. So I just gave that up, and the Lord said, be quiet. Shut your mouth, Joshua. And when you close your mouth, your ears perk up, right? And the ears in your mind are not these ears. If you cover these, you can still hear it, can't you? If you put earplugs in, you can still hear it. Right, that's the voice that we can start to identify. Right now in noise, you can't even identify whose voice is whose in your head. How would you know whose voice is whose if you haven't separated them and given them names and titles or acquainted yourself with them? We don't know whose voice, where that voice is coming from, because we hear a million voices throughout the day and we got a million things going in our mind, you know? So silence. But I learned you can't just show up and tell people to be silent, Josh. That's not gonna work. How did I arrive to being capable of being silent in a loud, frequency disturbing world? It was through those things. I had to change my mood. For me, I had to come off the meat. I had to come off the meat. I saw how it changed. Then I had to come off the rice. Then I had to come off the bread. Then I had to come off the black beans. Then the corn. This is weekly. One thing. Then the Funyuns. I'm like, dang, I can't eat Funyuns no more. So it's just like every week something was coming off by my cravings because I could hear my cravings. Because I was silent, I could hear. It's like, don't eat that. Oh, that's the last bag of Funyuns. I'm gonna eat these. Next week, no more Funyuns when I go to the store. Then next week is something else. Oatmeal. You learn that there's some, I'm gonna just phytic acid in oatmeal. It's like, oh, okay. Everything is dangerous. Yes, everything is dangerous. Yeah, that's the truth. Because you get mad, like, man, I can't eat nothing. Right. You can't eat nothing. We live in a poisonous society that was made to kill melanated people. You're not gonna be able to do what they do. It's for them, it ain't for us. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I was able to be silent, and that's the key to being able to be silent is through your mood, and your mood is controlled by your food.
Yes, I'd like to know, what are the ingredients you've already mentioned that's in box, a frozen box, the meats that don't contain?
Oh
meat?
yeah,
What
the
are
the
those
veggie
ingredients?
meats.
Yeah.
There's soy, which is the first thing. The gluten, the soy and the gluten are really the main things.
And those two? you
Those
said?
are the main things.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yes, man. And yeah, trying to get to that silence where you can silence yourself and not be agitated or not be provoked. That's how I was able to get to it. And these are like, it always feels difficult. It feels difficult to silence my mind today. And I've been doing it every day for 4 years. It's never easy. That's the challenge of being in God's army. Could have called anybody, but he called you. So it's not easy. You know what I mean? All we need is the right information and the right team. And then we're able to move forward on the battlefield. Yes.
Tofu, it comes from soybeans.
Yes.
Is it good or bad?
It's very bad. Yes, very bad. Soy is a big influencer of hormones, a main influencer. That's why it's the first product. Let me reverse it for you. If you bought a farm, right, and you had 100 animals on there, and you wanted to control the animals without whipping them, how would you do that? You can give them something, you can change their environment, you can give them barriers so they can walk a certain way. But the easiest thing to change a man's mind is with the food. He who controls the food controls the mind, because that's DNA. We're talking about human DNA. Every food got a DNA. So when you eat that, you become that. You are what you eat. These are old lessons. You really are what you eat. I could explain it energetically to how, but it's not necessary. You really are what you eat. That DNA you eat becomes a part of your DNA. That's how it happens. And so if I want to control people, I change their DNA, right? If I want to control the cows, change their DNA so they don't poop so much, then I got less poop. Or so they'll make more milk, then I got more milk. And that's what they do to us. They're manipulating us. Give me 1 second. They're manipulating us with our food because that's easier than every other thing, every other way. Than herding animals, it's easier to just control them with the food. You can control them with that. They'll act how you want them to. People in control they want to control behaviors. That's what they want. Control behavior, speed limits, categories, degrees. They want control. You go in this lane so we know where you are. We don't have to tell you what to do in that lane, but we're giving you the illusion of choice when we don't really have choices. So that's we're being manipulated and controlled through our food. like farm animals, because there are people who see us as farm animals. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's just like with mad cow disease. Mad cow disease started when you grind up dead animal and give it to the animal. And a lot of things, that's why God says, get off the meat, because the meat control our mind. I started eating a lot of fruit, and I find myself with more glory to God than when I eat meat or any other
The
thing.
living food.
Yeah, the living food. It's just like even juicing. Juicing is the water from the plant.
Right.
And that's what we're supposed to feed on. God give us, because of sin, he took us off of animal, and we crave for the animal more than we crave for the things that he want to give us knowledge.
Right.
But yet, we fight against God. God loves us so much that he want us to not be controlled like the devil. The devil just control people. That's what he does. He doesn't want us to have free will.
Right. Well said. So, with that context, it might be easier to understand why these choices are so difficult, or why it feels like you can't eat anything. Because through the illusion of choice, you go to the store and you're picking from poison. So there's like different types of poison. We got red poison, blue poison. It's all poison with different art on the front of it. That's all it is. So you got to take it back into your own hands and do your own studying or research or searching and say, I got to realize I live in a toxic environment. The air is toxic. The water that you bathe in has chlorine in it and other heavy metals like aluminum and sulfuric acid. The air we breathe is disturbed. The food has chemicals in it. So we are living in a toxic environment. And so you do have to take a second and say, whoa, I live in a toxic environment. And that takes a little bit of adjusting to, because we are privileged and we can get used to that privilege and convenience. And that's just an illusion. This convenience is just a pacifier, and it's about to be different, and those who are hydrated in these next few months, in the next 18 months, are going to live. And the ones who are not dehydrated are not going to have the awareness to hear God's voice to be able to survive. That is what it is. So when they say run to the hills, everybody is not going to be able to run to the hills. They probably forgot where the hills were. And if they were trying to find the hills, they wouldn't be able to find it because there's no compass. The compass is in your head, you got to listen. And so if you're not hydrated, you can't listen, right? And so that's that part of it. Now that we got that under control, sugar. And then I'm not going to take too long because we've been going for about an hour, but she has a question, yes. Yeah, so I'll start regionally. I'll repeat. She asked about fish and seafood. So I'll start in general, sure, better than meat in general, right? In general. But for me, when you consider where you are, landlocked, right? There's no rivers, there's no oceans, there's no coast next to it. So that means that fish came from where? Far away, or a farm. So that's why I kind of stay away from fish in general, until you can say, all right, I'm on the coast, I can eat fish. But if not, like, where did it come from? How long has it been traveling? Did it come from a farm? Tilapia looks like a gremlin. It shouldn't be eaten, but they feed it to us. So, and all this, you just do the best you can do with what you have in the moment. But yeah, I wouldn't, if I could stay away from it, I would. But also, if you eat fish and everything else is fine, like, you look like the picture of health, by the way. You look like angelically healthy. So for somebody who's already balanced eating fish is not gonna bother you. Eating a burger ain't gonna bother you, to be honest. It's when your lifestyle becomes nestled in that, and that's more than 5% of your diet. That's when it becomes an issue. But in truth, balance is better than overcompensation, anyways. Fishing loaves, because we were at the sea. So when you at the sea, we got to eat what we got. You know, Jesus ain't running around to the market to look for some vegetables. We got fish right here, let's eat that. So yeah, and I think in Adventism, we already have super analytical minds because we have a lot of doctrine. And with that doctrine comes, you can become a little bit like the Pharisees, becoming so caught up in the doctrine that you forget the essence of the thing. And the essence is do your best and be aware that there's danger, you know. And if you somewhere and that's all they got, that's what you got to do, you know. And you do your best after that, you know. And that gives you peace of mind to know. And at the end of the day, if you got faith that your efforts are in truth, then you're good. You just want to be able to be aware and mindful, but you're on the right path. You're on the right path. So I'll spend a few minutes on sugar, and then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to have 2 demonstrations. One is going to be in the fellowship hall, and then those who want to venture outside into nature with us, we're going to do a little demonstration in nature. I'm going to make my auntie take her shoes off and put her feet in the grass. Yes. Okay. Okay. So get the energy back right. Sugar. Now, when you think of sugar, what's your name? Sorry. Rhonda. Sister Rhonda. When you think of sugar, just tell me what you think.
White granules.
White granules. What about you?
Sweets.
Garbage.
Okay. He probably thinking about sugar cane. You think about sugar cane? It's fine. I just wanted to get some thoughts. So that's what we mostly think of, like what we're most familiar with. In reality, there's probably, I don't know, hundreds of types of sugars. I mean, you got stevia, you got granulated, you got sugar cane, you got raw sugar in the raw, you got the pink packets, the blue packets, the yellow packets. You got all types of sweeteners, right? That get classified as sugar, and they're called sweeteners, but they get classified as sugar. And like sugar gets thrown into all these things, and now we gotta say, sugar is not sugar. No, we can't believe that anymore. You have to take everything individually to determine if that sugar is good for you. Okay, so since you said white sugar, that's the most popular thing in the world. That's literally more addictive than cocaine. Literally. Nothing more addictive than sugar. France, the country of France literally only exists because of Haiti's sugar production. Literally. And so sugar is the most powerful substance on earth. Sugar get people to do things that they would never do. You know what I mean? And the want for sugar and the need to quench that thirst will get you to do things you would never do, right? And so there's many types of sugar, no need to go through all of them. What are the ones that are giving us cancer? It's close, even worse. Now you said white sugar, I can't remember. Corn syrup. That's the secret one. So if I could just take a pause and say, what's the 2 things that's killing everybody? It's canola oil and it's corn syrup. Those are the 2 things. It takes a big cleanse to get canola oil out of your system. Now, oil does not mix with water. How much? What the percentage of a human body of water? Okay, so I don't think oil is ever going to mix with water. I've never seen it happen. So when we eat oil, it ain't mixing in our water. It's getting stuck, or we just pooping, peeing it out, whatever. But we know we're not using it, right? So we got to limit our oil. And some oils got to be taken out. Canola is made from machines, literally, for the lubrication of industrial and hydraulic machines. That's what canola oil is. This started with Crisco way back in the day, long time ago, and it just has persisted since the 20s. And Crisco is better than canola oil, to be honest. This canola oil killing people fast. And the way that it gives you diabetes and heart disease and all these things, it damages your blood vessels because it doesn't break down. So you got these damaging particles floating through your blood, nicking and taking chunks out of your blood vessels, and it causes issues. So the canola oil gotta go. That's the first thing. That is killing everybody. That along with the corn syrup, perfect recipe for these cancers, and they're called metabolic diseases, blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. They're called metabolic diseases. That's influenced heavily by the oil and corn syrup. Now, you will notice that that oil and corn syrup is in everything, everything. So what are we gonna do about it, Dr. Brown? We're gonna read the ingredients on everything we eat. Everything you put in your body, you're gonna read the ingredients. If it starts with canola oil, put it back. If it starts with cottonseed oil, put it back. If it starts with sunflower oil, put it back. You don't want nothing starting with any of those things. When you read the ingredients, the first ingredient, that's what's in the most, that's what that product has the most of, right? So if it says water, it's mostly water. If it says canola oil, it's mostly canola oil. Ideally, you would stay away from canola oil at all times, but you don't want it to be the first thing. So we gotta read the ingredients on everything, and then you make your decision from there. And then the sugar part of it, to tackle the sugar part, it's not just the white sugar, it's the corn syrup, it's hiding, right? So what do? How do we battle this corn syrup? How do we battle this white sugar? That's easy. Natural sugar. Natural sugar beats artificial sugar. Natural sugar cures diabetes. Fake sugar gives you diabetes. It's that simple. It's just that simple. Diabetes and cancer are two of the easiest diseases to get rid of. And yeah, in your fruit, and your fruit and your cold pressed juices, as we were speaking about. So natural sugars are, if you wanted sugar cane, yeah, but going back to eating your water, if you eating fruit throughout the day, you'll get all the sugar you need. And there's no limit to natural sugar. People say, oh, Dr. Brown, isn't that gonna make my diabetes worse? Nope. If I drink orange juice, is it gonna make my diabetes worse? Not if it's the proper orange juice. And so that's the cure for diabetes and the metabolic diseases are natural sugar. So they can trick you. They could say, sugar gives you diabetes. And then people say, and then a healer comes along and say, you know what you could cure yourself with? Sugar. And they say, well, I thought sugar gave me diabetes, right? And so you can get confused easily by the mainstream. But really, natural sugar, naturally occurring sugar in fruits cures diabetes. It's likely the other things in the fruit, not the actual sugar, that cures it. The sugar that's natural is stabilizing your body so it doesn't do this all the time. You're not getting these waves of crashes. You just stay right there. Boom. You know? So then the last thing I'm gonna talk about is sequencing, right? Sequencing. For instance, repetition and consistency. Your body is a machine. It has a timer. It has signals, which means if you put the same thing in that machine every day, it's gonna function better and use less energy. It's not gonna have to wonder. Your body can say, she eats apples every day at noon. I'm gonna push out the enzymes to digest apples every day at noon. And then when you get to eat, your digestion is smooth. You don't have indigestion, which means you don't have any issues with hormones. And your mind controls your digestion. When you can you're thinking about it. Why people say, oh, you brought me pizza? I thought we were eating Mexican. Well, my mind was ready for Mexican. What does that mean? What does that mean your mind is ready for a meal? What does that mean? You know, what it means is your brain and subconscious knew what it was going to eat, knew what it was going to need to digest that, and started already putting it in your blood as soon as you think about it. That's the saliva come, the enzymes are coming to digest that food. So if you take that and you do the same thing every day, imagine how consistent your body would run. And so for me, the smoothie I'm going to show you guys, I drink that smoothie every day for 2 years straight, every day. And it's like that consistency optimizes my body, don't need as much energy. It's not going left and right, it's going straight every day. Question?
What do you recommend for a detoxifier for canola oil and what's the other oil that?
Oh, yes,
cotton-
for the oils and the
Yeah,
sugar.
how you detoxify it? What do you leave a residue in the body of some sort?
It does leave residue, so we want to use the water, the regular water with lime juice and lemon juice. That's the first thing. And then we get into green juices with green apple, kale, and I can draw we're gonna have the recipes, but the green juice is the cleansing juice. It has green apple, kale, mint, lime, and ginger. And then you do those consistently, and then you'll be cleansed. And one more question.
What about extra virgin olive oil? I use a lot of that in my foods.
Yeah, usually for the olive oil, as long as you're consuming it properly, it's not an issue. That's like a naturally occurring oil. So you want to limit oils in general, but that's fine. Yeah, perfectly fine. Yes.
Can you touch on milk right quick?
Oh yeah, milk. That's a good one. I forgot about the dairy. Okay, so milk. Why do we have issues with milk? It goes back to enzymes again. I'll give you the statistics to start out with. 96% of non-Caucasian humans are lactose intolerant. So that means 96% of non-white people cannot digest lactose. That is by the book. We have different enzymes based on where our ancestors came from, where we grew up, what enzymes we have in our body. So that means if you can't digest something, it's causing issues. That's where you get the gas and the bloating and all of that. And the key word, even Uncle Dr. Sebi tells us, is mucus. Thank you. So the mucus is like glue, like nothing can get through it. It clogs up things, you get back up, traffic jams, and it's just bad from that. And that's what the dairy is doing. Most people in general don't have enzymes to digest another animal's milk. If you had that, you would be something else. If you could, give me 1 second so I can finish the thought. That's another animal's milk. That's not our mama. That calf is not our mama. So anything that comes from that milk, cheese, whatever it is, it's not for us. It's just not for us. And it's creating mucus that's going to create big problems for us. The milk, the cheese, any milk derivatives, you'll check on potato chips, there's cheese cultures in it. People are using whey protein that comes from cheese to gain weight. That's like a side product of cheese creation. And so we just don't have the enzymes to digest anything dairy. And so I just try to stay away from it as much as possible. Like, I'd rather you eat sugar than dairy. If you go get some non-dairy sorbet or whatever, you get a Coke before you eat dairy. Like, it's gonna, eating cheese and gluten mixed together. Like, okay, counsels on diets and foods. We can just go back to the health message. Counsels on diets and foods says what? Don't mix cheese and meat. Don't mix dairy and sugar. Why? Because it produces an alcohol effect. Yeah, and aside from that, the byproducts of that specific alcohol cause more issues going down the line. And so we've been told that for a long time. And there are real issues that come with consistently consuming dairy. So you got dairy, meat, and gluten. I'll put them in order. Gluten, dairy, and meat. Those are the three avoidance. And really, gluten and dairy has gotten so bad, it's almost in a separate category than meat. Like, dairy and gluten are big issues, huge issues every time you eat it. Meat, you need years of build up, that gluten will get you right away. sourdough, and that's genetically modified gluten. That's why Americans have all these hypersensitivities, and they're getting sick with gluten because it's a genetically modified gluten. When you go to Italy, you can eat all the gluten you want. You won't feel it. It's just prepared differently, which comes from our agriculture system. Yes. Oh, wait, can we get the mic? Hold on one second. He got you.
So going back to sweeteners, because that's what I'm a sugar freak. The classic Monk's fruit sweetener, is that okay? And honey,
Which one is
that
it?
Monk's fruit
Here, let
sweetener,
me see.
it's MONK.
No, I would stay away from this. Oh, erythritol. Erythritol is what they put in gum. That's a very toxic substance. That erythritol, you should
And
Google
what
that.
about the raw honey?
Oh, honey you can use. So honey you can use. People will get like funny about honey. That's funny too, right? But it's like, what do you want me to do? It's like, it's ridiculous. I'm using honey. This is yes.
Well, some of the honey, they mix the corn syrup with that honey.
Yeah. What about natural honey?
So they say you must, if you want to check honey real, pour it in water. I mean,
See if it breaks down.
no, if it sinks,
Okay.
it's not real honey.
Yeah. Yeah. But typically, if you're gonna use your honey, get your honey. Yeah, we looking for simplicity. So I'm gonna tie it up. Thank you for the dairy and gluten. Those are the two main things, dairy and gluten, that you really want to be cognizant of, especially mixing them, right? And then the last thing I'll end it with is the sequence, and kind of like how to envision your whole lifestyle to go with the sun. You know what I mean? There are clocks. When you go to acupuncture, they have a clock, and it shows you the time. Between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m., these organs are active. Between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., these organs are active. And so it tells you what actions you should be taking during those times, right? And so those are all based off of the rotation of the sun. People had sundials before we had clocks, and all that was them placing where the sun was in respect to them, right? So if we follow the natural course of the sun, is where they get the term intermittent fasting. You ever heard that? Okay. Intermittent fasting is a branding term that is copying our natural rhythm. Your body naturally wants to fast for 16 hours, naturally. This is how it goes. Say you wake up with the sun. Say you wake up at 6. Warm water with lemon, boom. What's next? Coconut water. What's next? Smoothie. What's next? Salad. What's next? Heaviest meal. Okay, so you see, I went from lightest to darkest, thinnest to thickest. As the sun goes, as we get more turnt during the day, I'm gonna put heavier foods, right? I'm gonna eat my heaviest meal in the time that the sun is up there, because that's when the energy is the highest. I could digest this food real quick with no issues, right? So you're gonna have your first meal afternoon. All liquids before noon, first meal afternoon. Oh, it's very simple. Now, when you first start, you're gonna have a headache and you're gonna have cravings. That's called withdrawal. The people that we judge so bad for being on heroin and all type of drugs, when you're coming off of sugar, you might get a little sympathetic because it's like you realize that you've been on a drug your whole life. The hardest one to get off of, you know what I'm saying, with no treatment assistance. So you'll get headaches and you'll be moody, but just stick through it and you'll be all right. Before noon, no solids. Start with clear liquids, get up to your juices, your smoothie, salad, and then you go from there. What that's gonna do is put you back on a natural rhythm. Right now, we are not on a natural rhythm with most things we do. And that's why we have issues. But when you go on a natural rhythm, you're along with everything else. The birds, the clouds, the sun, the moon is connected to the sun, the trees are listening to the sun, everything. You know what I mean? And so we got to go with the the ruler. You know, that's the first thing. Now, when you get to noon, you got basically from like noon to 8, noon to 6 to eat your food. Now that's 8 hours to eat. You know, you're gonna eat lunch between 12 and 2 at work. You're gonna come home about 5, 6, you know, eat dinner before 8. That's if you can put all of your eating into 8 hours, you've done better than 99% of humans. Because even people eating healthy, they're off a rhythm, and rhythm counts for a lot. So that sequencing, I left it for last because it's the easiest thing to go by. When you leave and you go home, you can say, let me try to follow this sequencing. After 12, I can eat my main meal. Like if you go with that alone, your digestion is improved. Just eating your main meal after 12. You could forget all the hydration. If you just don't put that heavy food on yourself till afternoon, your mood is gonna be better just like that, right? So that's the sequencing. For me, I wanna give you guys how I started, where I went to, and where I am now. I started eating just like everybody else. I'm a country boy from Pittsburgh. I grew up eating chicken fried steak and A1 and corned beef hash and all type of our favorites. You know, we're not supposed to be eating, but that's how I grew up eating. And I love Chick-fil-A and all pizza. I eat it all. You know, I'm an athlete, so I could cheat. You know, that's how I started out. When I went to Dominican Republic, weekly things started falling off. It wasn't my decision. It was driven by my cravings and my inner voice. Right? Things started falling off. And I went all the way until I was eating only raw foods, coconut water for 9 months. I had 3 cooked meals a week that were, you know, it was like carrots, zucchini, and something else I can't remember. It was a nice little meal I used to cook with this coconut cream sauce. I used to like take the coconut milk and make this little cream. And that was my meal for 9 months. Morning, 1 pineapple, full pineapple. Lunch, half a watermelon. Dinner, 2 or 3 mangoes. And I would just eat a pound of peanuts every day. And I did that for 9 months, right? And that was like the most intense eating thing I had ever experienced. And I like to share people because everybody's path on earth is different. Everybody's difficulty level, their rules are different. Everybody has different rules. That's why we're not supposed to be worried about what somebody else doing, because they not living by the same rules you are. God got a whole different agreement with them that we don't know nothing about. And the rules for everybody are different, right? So I like to show people what my rules are. My rules are difficult, and I don't get a lot of leeway, or I'll be in actual pain and uncomfortable and not even be able to function. And to be honest, that's how God get me here in the first place. Because if you want somebody to listen, you just put them in pain. That's at least I'll gladly listen. If I'm hurting to the point where you in your room for 20 hours a day and can't move and got sunglasses and earplugs in. That's what I was doing in Dominican Republic. I only been to the beach about 7 times, and it's right there. 5 minutes from my house. What happened is I'm an extremely sensitive. My senses are tuned to the height. I could hear everything, I could feel everything, I could smell everything. And I didn't take care of myself in medical school like I should have. Very intense, military. The medical school is the military, right? So I didn't take care of myself, and that's the consequences. Your organs are shutting down, your kidneys are burnt out, your pulses are low. You got all this pressure built up behind your eyes like glaucoma, or you can't even function in the day. And it landed me in Dominican Republic in my bedroom for 20 hours a day. For about 6 months, 7 months, I just laid there for 20 hours a day and just laid in complete stillness. That's what it took for me to deal with the pain that I was experiencing from my nervous system being burnt out, right? So not easy to eat good when you can't move. It's not hard to eat good when you're in pain, that type of pain. It's not that difficult. So it's like you seeing God's shiny new kid now, you know what I'm saying? He done cleaned me up and done all type of stuff. And I done had a really good experience and ate the best food on earth. And that's what you're seeing now, but it ain't pretty going through it. It's real ugly and you're gonna feel it, it's gonna hurt. And that's, to me, I just tell myself, well, I'm gonna listen better from now on. You won't happen again. Won't never be in pain like that because I'm gonna listen. And that is the ultimate leash. Those are my parameters. Those are my bumpers. I don't get to go sideways. When I come here, I stay with my dad and my aunt, and they see me eat the same thing every day. And I sleep on the floor. I don't even sleep on mattresses. And there's reasons because I got like vertebrae out of place. Not important. But the point is, I live in a very tight range. You know, if I sleep on the bed, there's consequences. I'm gonna be in pain. So it's like easier to sleep on the floor. You know, if I eat pizza, I'm gonna be in pain. Aside from the pain, I'm not gonna be able to think the same. I'm gonna be dragging. It's like not worth it. You know? So for me, you know, that's my path. And that's the extreme that I had to go to of only eating 3 fruits for 9 months and laying in a room for 20 hours a day. That's me. Your experience is gonna be different and it's gonna be difficult. Just because you're not in pain like me, don't mean it's gonna be easy. It's based off of your perception and your life experience and your makeup and what God wants you to do in this life, what He sent you here to do. That's gonna be to get you where you need to be so you can receive the blessings and go serve. These people in here are service people. That's why we're here. We're here to work. This is a service meeting right here. These people want to get better so they can help somebody else. That's why we're here. I can smell it, you know? And so that's a different mindset than just being in somewhere just so I can learn something. People here are trying to get the information, incorporate it, and go do what God told them to do. Because y'all likely feel the same thing that I feel, you know? And so that's where I'll leave the general wellness thing, and I'm gonna just tidy it up. But in general, do your best with what you have. Don't be hard on yourself and keep it simple. You already God's chosen people. We don't know it in America. Every other country in this world know who God's remnant church is. Everybody. And I would love us to start, you know, remembering who we are, basically. You know what I'm saying? And we got the gift. We got the gift. And we got all the resources. We have an Adventist network that is more connected than any other fraternity, sorority network in the whole entire world. The Adventist network that nobody else has. Baptists don't have that. I know the treasurer for the AME International Church. They don't have this. If I'm AME, I can't go to France and say, hey, I'm Adventist. Anybody got a place to eat or stay? That's an Adventist thing. And so we have no excuses. We really don't have any excuses. All we need is a little reminder and an alarm to wake up, and we're good, you know? And I'll leave it with my vision, not my vision, God's vision through me for why I'm even here right now in this place in Marion, in Indiana, right? Quick story. My grandmother has a lot of brothers and sisters, 15. She's from Indianapolis. Okay, their last name is the Hollands, right? So the Hollands are very particular about education and service. They feel like they were blessed. They feel like God called them to do a certain job with their life, and they did it. I'm talking about my great-grandparents, right? So they had 16 children in Indianapolis. All these children went to Oakwood. That's a lot of kids to go to college in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You get the idea, okay. And so that my grandmother was the oldest of 16 children, right? And the first to go to Oakwood from her siblings. Am I saying it right? That's right, okay. So my grandmother grows up, does a lot of different things. One thing she did was start a nonprofit corporation. This was in the early 2000s when, Black women, it's difficult to even breathe in this country, let alone start a nonprofit corporation on paper without the internet and online applications. So this is what this woman did 21 years ago. She started a nonprofit. Her vision was education, right? So what did she do? She wrote grants to get funding to start a school. That school in this company is called Midwest Life Enhancement Services. She started a company to literally help people live happier. That's the whole purpose of the company. And so She started the company. We had a school. My cousin Rhonda worked at the school. My dad, Benny Brown, worked at the school. We'll have a school again soon. That's what they did. And so the school closed. The company was still active. My grandmother is a genius. She can do a million things. She just chose to do this. So she says, I'm gonna keep the company active without telling me or anybody else. When I leave residency, the company's waiting for me. I go to my uncle, I tell him I'm leaving residency. He says, I said, Uncle Harvey, I want to get into nonprofit because that's where I feel like this medicine thing is going anyways, and I could serve. I know how to do that. He's like, nonprofit, we got a nonprofit for you. So we talking about an inheritance. A young man just listened to God and inherited a corporation. Now, it didn't have employees or assets or funds, but it doesn't matter. You know, it exists for 21 years and it has a history, and that's all we need, you know? So what happens is I became the official executive director of the corporation. It's a full nonprofit for people who know nonprofits. And I've taken the past 4 years to listen and spit out what God's vision was for the corporation, right? And what I have gotten is, it's called Midwest Life. So we're gonna live in the Midwest, first of all. When you inherit a pizza company, you can't change it to a mechanic shop. That's not gonna work. I don't care if you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever. If my grandmother handed me a Papa John's, I'm gonna run a Papa John's. Now, 10 years from now, if I want to turn it to a mechanic shop, I could probably branch off. But I had to learn, I'm giving you my learning of how I came to get here. So I had to learn it's gonna do what it already did. You know, pick up there, insert your talents into that and see how it goes. So I've been working on programs, installing programs for the past 4 years. I've done over 12 wellness retreats in Dominican Republic. I've done 6 at land in a 40-acre resort that we have access to in West Virginia. And so this thing has been going. Now, the last portion of my direction was Sister Spears. So I have an analogy about firemen. Firemen are the most prepared, talented people on earth to save lives, right? They can walk through fire literally. And you ain't never heard a fireman calling, looking for a fire. You never seen a fireman even riding around in the truck looking for fires. Why? Because they get called when they're needed, right? So I live with that analogy because I'm a type of dude who likes to do stuff. I like to go out, oh, they need help, I'm gonna go help them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's not the time for this for me. So I had to wait, do my work in private, silent, and wait to be called. One day, about 6 weeks ago, the day after I left Indianapolis, I get a call from Carolyn Spears. I look at my phone, I say, this number looks familiar. I've never seen this name, but I feel like I know this name. Pick up the phone, we speak. She's looking for my grandmother, right? She said, hey, your uncle just told me you're with your grandmother, just trying to get in touch with her. I was friends with her brother. We went to Pine Forest together. I was like, hey, I'll call her right now. Called her, she didn't answer. That's okay. So we continue to talk. We're sharing stories, what we're up to. And I shared I was starting a Black Doctors Alliance for service in it because, and she told me, oh, my niece and nephew are Black doctors in Indianapolis. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. We just met on the phone and we're already connected. So we talked. She invited me to speak at Women's Day over the phone because I shared with her, I speak at churches and other events, and I have wellness topics, and I was at Ephesus in the Bronx last year around the same time. So we set it up. She said, Women's Day, May 25th. I said, I'll be there. We set it up. Cool. So already I get off the phone in tears like, oh, these are miracles are coming crazy. A woman just called my phone and invited me to an official public speaking engagement that I never met before in the place where this company dictates I need to be. Okay, so I was called, right? So I came 2 weeks ago, met Sister Spears and the elders just to come and say, hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm in Indianapolis anyway. Come up and meet. We met. We were sharing ideas together, and I shared my vision And I felt like God was leading the Adventist church to install official wellness ministry departments. And so we wouldn't have any confusion about how to serve in wellness in the community anymore. We would say we already have the expertise, we have the history and the knowledge and the health message. We can just package that and move along with that. And we have some other elder care initiatives on education of Medicare and Medicaid. That's Elder Casey's idea. And so we got together and just started brainstorming. And Dr. Brown said Midwest Life would love to be of service with Ephesus Church in Marion, Indiana. And I have built my life to be free man, to go wherever, just waiting for the call, which means I can live anywhere I need to be. It's simple. I can go anywhere I need to be. I don't have to fly back to DC on Monday to go to work. This is my work. I'm a service worker and this is what I'm doing. So this is not a guy here for a wellness talk. This is a guy that was sent to get it going. And I got the energy and I got the vision and at the time, you know, and I was formed as a service worker and that's what I'm gonna do. So that leads to us initiating services in Marion, right? So everybody is gonna be invited to sign up as a member and you'll be able to choose from our wellness services, independent of what the church is gonna do, what we're gonna do with the church. You'll be able to sign up for wellness services in person and virtual before we go. And you'll be able to call and say, hey, Dr. Brown, or whoever's on our team, this is my goals. Can we get a program to meet those goals? We'll say yes. You get an individualized plan. Dr. Brown or his team comes to Marion. We have a day where we assess people in group, and then we go from there. For instance, we have prayer meeting. Dr. Brown can come to prayer meeting. We have a sign-up sheet. People come, we say, I want to get these services. I share the services. People sign up, and we go from there. I'm available to be in Marion, and in Indiana, that's my goal. Marion, Indianapolis. And so we're working on initiatives to make that a reality. So what's happening in Marion, you can see people are being called here. He grew up in this church, and he feels like, I don't know, what did you say this morning? You were just like, I was thinking about it. I felt like I would come home. I'm thinking of activating myself in this area. He grew up in this church and he wants to be of service. And it's not by accident, you know? So that's where we are. So all this information that I've shared, I'm not leaving. We can just pick up on Wednesday or whenever the next time we see each other. And so things are gonna be different here for the better. Because I'm also a very intense athlete, I'll say that. And so what I say is gonna happen usually happens if I really put my mind to it. And so I wanna be here, I wanna be of service, and so does my family. That's why they're here to support, and that's what we're gonna do. And I don't really leave plans Bs. There's no plan Bs, that's plan A. And we'll be A-okay. And so everybody rest assured, you're all gonna have lots of work to do soon. Anybody who has free time, we can figure out what to do with it. Whether it's on yourself or somebody else, everybody got a voice. And so that's what we're looking to do. This is a special town. This is gonna be a beacon to other places, larger cities around this church. And I think people here have put a lot of energy in the past few years, in their whole lives, to be honest, into this actual church. And I believe they would like to see that through to whatever their goals are. And I'm willing to be a part of that. I would love to be. So with that, praise God. That was amazing. Clap it up for ourselves. That was very enjoyable. Anybody have any, actually, let's take a break. Let's take a break and let's move over to the fellowship hall. Last question.
You were going to spell aloe vera.
Yes. Can you pull this back up for us? Or is it open? We need your face ID. It's one of those big aloe plants that grows in the desert. Okay. Let's see how it's spelled. Oh, it's aloe. It's just a certain, it's just, what's the variety? Yeah. But what he's speaking of, you can take the aloe, everybody knows the little aloe one. You can open the aloe, you scrape it out, and you mix it in with water, and you drink that. Yeah, that one is more, well, that's growing in a bush too. It's tough.
Aloe vera is aloe vera.
You can, there's different, yeah, basically. And you can use that for hydration cleansing as well. You can eat it. You can eat it.
This woman, parts her face with, a radiator pop open, she opened and put it in her face, and she got the aloe vera. Took it
Yeah.
off her face and it healed it. Then she went to the doctor, and they took it off, they said, wow, what did you do? Because they will remove scars.
Yeah, it works.
Scars on her face because of what she did.
It does. So I'll close out in prayer. We can transition to the fellowship hall and we'll have a short demonstration. Does anybody have any last questions to tie it up? No. Well, let me just close out in prayer. Okay, everybody bow their heads. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful Sabbath day and this beautiful group of people we have here. Thank you for the message that you have shared with us through my mouth. And please help us to stay on course with your journey for us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Beautiful. Okay, I'll say like 5-6 minutes and I'll be set up in the fellowship hall.
And don't forget there are refreshments in the back as well. Oh.